Hey everybody, I'm Jimmy Pardo and this is Jimmy's Records and Tapes. Today I'm going to be talking about my 5 favorite soundtracks.
We've got it on vinyl, CD and cassette.
We've got pop, rock, heavy metal, punk, funk, rap, and new wave. All sales are final, but you'll never regret all the music you get at Jimmy's Records and Tapes.
I'm loving music again. Hello, welcome into the store. We're open, right? Feel free, wander around. You've got all your different areas. You got your rock, you got your hard rock, your country, your western. You got your R&B, as we used to call it back in the days. You got that. That's over in the rhythm and blues section, sir. That's what we would say. You got your comedy, which was a very small spoken word area. And, of course, you had your soundtracks, which in the 80s, late mid-70s to the mid-90s, oh, the soundtrack. People love the soundtrack. You go see the movie, and then you must immediately head to the record store and get the soundtrack and hear those same songs you just saw imagery of. You saw two people in endless love banging around on a sofa while the house is burning. And I must go now hear Lionel Richie and Diana Ross sing about it. I love a soundtrack. Who doesn't love a soundtrack? Right? These soundtracks that I'm about to tell you are literally the soundtracks of the soundtrack of my life. I wish I had workshopped that at all, because I liked the way it sounded, yet I don't think it meant anything. I don't think it meant anything at all. Yet, had I workshopped it, it would have been like, really? You took time to say soundtrack to the soundtrack? Be grateful it just came out naturally. Let's get to the countdown. Number 5. Now, here's the thing. I saw this movie. This movie may be in my top 5 most seen movies. Now, does that mean that it's in my top 5 movies of all time? It does not mean that at all. It's junk. It's absolutely horrible. And many people think the soundtrack is also absolutely horrible. And I'm talking about the soundtrack to the movie Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's unwatchable. It is awful. When my son Oliver, who is now 14, was like 4, he became obsessed with it. And so not only did I see it in the theater, where if you collected 6 RC Cola bottle caps, you got in to see the movie for free. And my family was obsessed with RC Cola. I think because it was cheaper than Pepsi or Coke. And so I think we drank RC because it was a little bit of a savings on money. So we were an RC family. And because of that, I would bring the 6 bottle caps and see this movie a gazillion times. Is it good? I've said it over and over. It's horrible. And then Oliver rewatched it a million times. And so I got to relive how horrible it is. That said, I like the soundtrack. And I know every Beatle fan in the world hates it. And you're going to hate me for this. I have a theory about the Beatles, and it's this. And obviously, it's not accurate in any way, shape, or form. But people that were born in 65, 66, or 67, which is obviously not me, I'm much younger than that, the Beatles don't mean anything to you. They don't really affect your life very much. You're in a little window where they came before you were old enough to understand them, and then the Beatlemania was gone by the time you were old enough to like music. So I recognize the brilliance of the Beatles. I'm not a moron. But you know what? So here come the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton, who I love, along with Alice Cooper and Aerosmith and Earth, Wind and Fire and so on and so forth. And I got to be honest with you, this is all a build up to this. I like some of the versions on this album more than I like the versions by the Beatles. You heard it. I said it, and I stand by it. I love Oh Darlin'. Robin Gibb does a great version of that. Day in the Life, sung by Barry Gibb, is great. Peter Frampton with a little help from my friends. What would you... at the top of that movie? And then the movie falls off a cliff. That opening is phenomenal. And you go, this is going to be great. Nope. Except for Aerosmith, who we know from my award-winning podcast, Never Not Funny, or previous episodes of Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I'm not a huge Aerosmith guy, but their version of Come Together might be the best cover of all time. Well, now, wait a minute, Jimmy. You did a top 5 best cover songs episode of Jimmy's Records and Tapes. Was that number 1? I don't remember. So, am I saying it's the greatest? And then I stand by that on another episode of this? No, I don't. But it is a great version of that song. Also, Earth, Wind & Fire doing Got to Get You Into My Life. Maybe that's even better than the Beatles version. I'll tell you who does a great version of it, the band Chicago. They do a great version of it. And they, from what I understand, they were told to be, they were asked to be in this movie. They turned it down. which I think was a mistake. I think that would have been, especially at that time where they were trying to find where they were going to be in their career, I think it would have given them some nice exposure, which is an insane thing to say considering they've had, 5 number one albums in a row or something at that time. But I think it also would have been cool to see them in the movie. One time, I was at a Chicago convention. That's right. A convention for the band Chicago, where if you want to see a bunch of middle-aged people sit around and talk about the songs of Chicago, that's the spot for you. I had a great time going to these conventions. One time, it was in Vegas, and I happened to be working in Vegas the same week as the convention, so I would go to the convention during the day, go do my shows at night, and my beautiful wife, Danielle, would make fun of me for going to a Chicago the Band convention. And I was like, you know what? It's nothing cheesy. It's nothing like you'd ever expect. In fact, come with me tonight. Come with me to the meet and greet, and you'll see it's nothing like that. And we're not there 10 minutes where somebody says, does anybody know what time it is? And somebody else said, does anybody really care? And the place went crazy. And Danielle looked at me and went, that's what I thought this would be. And it wasn't that, except for that 1 second. I swear to God, honey, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Follow up, what was that accent? Anyway, number 5, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, top 5 soundtracks. Number 4, this one also comes from a movie. This quadruple platinum. I was working at the record store at the time, JR's Music Shop, and this thing was a dud. The movie was a dud, and the album was a dud. And then HBO started showing it at a time where they were only showing Beastmaster and this movie, Eddie and the Cruisers. And then that song On the Dark Side took off, went to number 7 on the charts. And then the album took off. And then the movie was re-released back in the movie theaters. And in my neighborhood, it was at the second run movie theater, which was $1 to go see a movie. So Jimmy Pardo, on a tight assistant manager of a record store budget, would bring dates to go see Eddie and the Cruisers. And if they liked Eddie and the Cruisers, they would get a second date. That was my litmus test. And I loved it. Boy, did I loved Eddie and the Cruisers. In fact, there's controversy in my home because I want my son Oliver to watch it, but Danielle doesn't want to watch it because she doesn't want it to not hold up. She wants to have the great memories of how she felt watching that when she was a teenager, and she fears it doesn't hold up, but I think it does because it's got Tom Berenger. And I want you to name one movie with Tom Berenger that doesn't hold up. I'll wait. Can't do it, can you? You can't name a single Berenger film that doesn't hold up. I dare you to. fanclub@jimmypardo.com. Send me. I welcome your letters. Right? In fact, I'm gonna be a Berenger fan club at jimmypardo.com. Don't send it there. I don't have the energy to make that email happen. Another one. This is. I only bring this up because this was also a test to see if you get a second date. The Big Chill. I recognize now. I've just ruined my theory. Doesn't hold up. And that's Tom Berenger. Never mind. Save your letters. Save your letters. The Big Chill stinks. But at the time, I loved it. I loved it. I didn't see how cheesy it was when they were making breakfast and with their new gym shoes on in that scene to the Motown music. It's a great soundtrack. How could it not be? It's the best of Motown, for Christ's sake. It's great. But I would bring dates to see that. That was another one at the second run house for $1. And if they liked that, we'd go out again. One time, I went out with a girl named Ann. Ann, last initial R. I will not give her full last name because it's very unique, and you'd be able to find her instantly if you looked. Ann and I were seated maybe halfway back off to the side, and in the middle of the movie, somebody came to the back door of the movie theater and banged on the door and went, "Bah!" And it scared the hell out of the entire theater, except for Ann, who found it funny and then laughed through the entire movie. And as this couple was leaving, walked past us and went, "Hey, you ruined the movie." And I'm not so sure they were wrong. I think Ann may have ruined the movie. But I did date Ann for a few more dates, and I hope that she's doing well to this day. And again, I beg of you, don't send me. I hope to God you didn't pause this to then write to me about Tom Berenger movies that don't hold up. I hope you stayed with me because I realized that in real time that I'm wrong. And I've been wrong about Berenger for a lot of years. And I owe everybody an apology. Eddie and the Cruisers, number 4. Number 3, man, these next 3 are all, they might as well all be number 1 because they're all great. Grease, right? The Grease soundtrack is phenomenal. You're the One That I Want. Wonderful. The theme for Grease, written by the great Barry Gibb. sung by the wonderful Frankie Valli. Are you kidding me? It's the word, baby. Grease. It's Grease Lightning. Oh, 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 oh. Different song, but you got it. Summer Nights. You can't go to karaoke without seeing some jerks do that song. And they're either great or they're horrible. Either way, you hate it. You hate the people that sing that song, Summer Night. When they're great at it, you hate them because they're so great and they know they are. That's why they chose that song. They want to show off. And when they're bad, you're like, why are these people ruining that great song? Soundtrack from Grease is great. The movie Grease is great. You know what sucks? The musical. You ever go see Grease in the theater? It stinks. I don't need to see some high school kids with a cardboard race car. It's awful. But what a great movie. Great movie. Who doesn't like to see 67-year-old people cast as high school kids? It's great. Number 2. The great John Hughes movie, Some Kind of Wonderful. It's not his most popular movie, but this soundtrack is flawless. Also, you got the great Eric Stoltz in the movie, Leah Thompson, Mary Stuart Masterson, who, oh boy, did Jimmy Pardo have a crush on her. John Hughes knew how to put together a soundtrack, man. Pretty in Pink has the great Pretty in Pink. If You Leave is on there from She's Having a Baby. That song is terrific. Don't You Forget About Me, of course, from Breakfast Club is great. But this one doesn't have any hits on it. It's got Do Anything by Pete Shelley, Cry Like This by Blue Room, She Loves Me by Stephen Duffy. Furniture does a song called Brilliant Mind. I don't even know who Furniture is. Have I looked on the internet? Yes, I have, and I've never found anything else. Flesh for Lulu does a great song called I Go Crazy. The March Violets do Miss Amanda Jones. I can literally list this entire thing. I love a band called Lick the Tins, which I'm not happy with that name. They do a cover of Can't Help Falling in Love, which is amazing. This is my second favorite. It might even be my number 1. Like I said, these are all interchangeable. Man, do I love this Some Kind of Wonderful soundtrack. The movie's good. Movie's good. Not great. It's good. Some say it's better than Pretty in Pink. I don't know, man. I don't know. Father, son, you decide. It's Hyundai Kia all over again. Does that apply to this? No. No. Does not. Quick honorable mention. 2 quick ones. And again, why do you do that? Why don't you just do the 5? Here's why. Soundtrack to Woodstock. Seems like a weird thing to have be one of your favorite soundtracks because it's kind of just a recording of a live event. While it is a documentary and a movie, I get it, blah, blah, blah. A movie, by the way, that I watch at least 3 times a year. I love the Woodstock movie. I'm crazy for it. I like all the performances I think are great. And so therefore I like the soundtrack as well. But I think I picked narrative, movies with narratives, storyline structure, the written word. Not the documentary, but I love a doc. You know that. I love a doc. Also, Light of Day, the Michael J. Fox movie, which with Joan Jett, which isn't great, but I wanted to mention it because I do love the song Light of Day by Bruce Springsteen. I also kind of like the soundtrack. I like Joan Jett, the couple of songs she has on there. Even Michael J. Fox's song, which is Got No Place to Go, Got No Place to Go. That was pretty spot on. If you listen to it, you'll go, hey, you know what? Pardo kind of nailed that. As bad as that is, I kind of like that song. I also was an extra in the movie Light of Day. So I kind of had a, I don't want to say connection, because I certainly did not as an extra. But I wanted to share the story with you of when I was there shooting. I was a concert goer. I had just seen some bands that we shot at the Cabaret Metro in Chicago. And I was, I've told the story on Never Not Funny. I share it with you here now. Michael J. Fox is walking out and then crossing the street. And as Michael is walking out of the venue, you see me coming down the stairs. And then as Michael is walking across the street, Mike walks past me. So you see me twice, and there's no way that's possible. There's no way that I can be walking into the venue at the same time that I was just walking down some stairs. Unless I forgot my keys, right? That's possible. But I bring it up because did a young, had never done any film acting extra, turn to the second AD and say, what band did we just watch? What's my motivation here? Did somebody say that? Yes. Was that somebody, Jimmy Pardo? Yes. Yes. Did I think I was an idiot the second I did it? Yes. Did other extras say to me, dude, that was brilliant. Good way to get in tight with the second AD. I didn't know what any of that meant. I wasn't in show business yet. I wish I can go back in time. In fact, if I could take the DeLorean from Michael J. Fox's other movie, the not as popular as Light of Day, Back to the Future, I would take it back to that day. First of all, to correct that edit of me walking up and down stairs and across the street at the same time, I would fix that. But I would also tell a young James R. Pardo Jr., don't say that to the second AD, you moron! Number 1, Saturday Night Fever. Got it. Okay, there we go. There's your countdown. Right? You don't need me to walk you through Saturday Night Fever. We all know what it is. It's great. Right? The Bee Gees at the top of their game, other than Jive Talkin', although Jive Talkin's on this. Staying Alive. It's got to be in the top 5 songs of all time. How Deep Is Your Love? Night Fever. You Should Be Dancing. The Tramps do Disco Inferno. Yvonne Elliman from the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack to the movie. Why didn't you pick that, Jim? I know. Hey there, it's time for this week's Jimmy's Choice. This comes to us, by us, I mean I'm sharing with all of you, from @Savannah Lost, SAVANNAH Lost, Falco versus Taco. Falco. Hey, thank you so much for watching this week's Jimmy's Records and Tapes. If you liked it, hit the bell. Tell your friends. Spread the word. Spread the good word. Also, there's a Spotify playlist if you want to hear any of those songs, especially from that Some Kind of Wonderful. Great way to learn about that. Go to the Spotify playlist. Just search for Jimmy's Records and Tapes, @Jimmy Pardo on Twitter. And, of course, I host the award-winning podcast, Never Not Funny. Until next time, the record is back in its sleeve.